Till morning. Vaishnavi?
Ma'am, when company officials become nabobs.
Yes. What's the difference? What do you mean by the term? Naboobs, right? So then after the Battle of Buxar, so after Battle of Buxar, they began to enter into the political matters or political affairs of India. And but after the Battle of Buxar, the company was not ready to launch a direct attack on the territories. After Battle of Plassey, they are not ready to launch a direct attack on the territories. Instead of, they used a variety of political, economic and diplomatic method to capture the power from them. And one of the most important was that they appointed whom they appointed? Residents so they appointed the residents in Indian state. So after Battle of Buxar, they didn't launch any direct attack on the territories. Instead of, they used different political, economic and diplomatic method to capture the power from them and also to interfere in the internal affairs. One of such thing was they appointed the residents in Indian states. What these residents did? Who's appointing these residents? These residents were appointed by appointed by the company or the British, and they are in the state in favor of whom? Favor of the company, and they are interfering in the political affairs of the state. Okay, they are interfering, they are taking the decision, they are forcing the ruler to take decisions in favor of the company, and also they are interfering in the internal affairs of the state. So through this residents of Indian state, the company is interfering in the internal affairs of the state. Clear? So through these residents, the company is interfering in the internal affairs of the state, and they try to decide, they are deciding who become the next, who become the successor of a king, or who become the next Nawab in a place. So they are now deciding the internal affairs of the state. That is the first policy they adopted, that is appointing residents in Indian state. After that, they came up with a new policy, that is, what is it? Subsidiary. Yes, subsidiary alliance. The second policy they adopted is subsidiary alliance. So after Battle of Buxar, they adopted two policies. They are not directly attacking anyone. Instead of that, first one, they appointed the residents in Indian state, and the second one is the subsidiary alliance. What do you mean by subsidiary alliance?
Indian
That
rulers
Indian rulers
don't have an
Indian rulers,
army.
louder. They
Indian
are not
rulers
allowed
don't have
to
an
keep an independent army. Instead of that, their territory is protected by whose army?
company.
By the company's army. And in return, we want to pay them. If the ruler failed to pay them, what will happen?
Their part of territory will be taken.
Part of their territory will be
Taken away.
the company. A part of their territory was taken away as a penalty by the company. So that is subsidiary alliance. So their method of annexation, how they annex the rest of the parts of India. The first policy is through residence in Indian state. They appointed the officials post called residents in Indian state. Through these residents, they are interfering in the internal affairs of the country. They are interfering in the internal affairs of the country and they are deciding who become the next ruler. The second is the subsidiary alliance system. Subsidiary alliance system means the company cannot maintain, a ruler or the Indian territories, they cannot have their own army. Instead of that, they have a company army, that is the subsidiary force, and in return, the ruler want to pay them. The ruler failed to pay a part of their territory was taken away by the company as a penalty. That is a two policies they adopted for annexing the Indian territories. But in between, some of the rulers were protested against them. The two wars were there. The first person who protested against them was, what is his name?
Tipu Sultan.
Tipu Sultan. So they fought a war with Tipu Sultan and he was defeated in which battle?
Fourth battle of
Fourth battle,
Srirangapattam.
yes. Fourth battle of
Srirangapattam.
Srirangapattam. Battle of Srirangapattam. In the battle of Srirangapattam, he was defeated. Tipu Sultan was defeated by the British. So that is important. Battle of Srirangapattam. The war fought between Tipu Sultan and the British. Tipu Sultan, he was a ruler of which place?
Mysore.
Mysore. He was a ruler of, he was called as a tiger of Mysore. He was the ruler of Mysore. But why the British fought against him? Because three reasons. You remember the reasons?
Stop the.
They
Stop the.
Yes, Tipu have a control over the Malabar coastal area, and through this Malabar coastal area, the East India Company have a trade of pepper, sandalwood, cardamom, etc. Through that ports they exported. And what Tipu did? He stopped that export. First he stopped their export, and the second he disallowed the local merchants from trading with the company. He disallowed the local merchants from trading with the company, and also he keep a better relationship with
French.
So the British were so furious to him and they were not happy with that. So a series of battle were fought between the British and the Tipu, and he was defeated only in the last battle, that is the battle of Srirangapattam. So remember why that battle fought, or what was the reason for the Anglo-Mysore war. It is called as Anglo-Mysore war. Anglo means always remember, who is Anglo? British. Anglo-Maratha war, it is between whom? British and Marathas. So the term Anglo, here we are using the term Anglo for British. Not Indian, that is Anglo. So here the Anglo-Mysore war. The Anglo-Mysore war was fought between Tipu Sultan and British, and he was defeated in the last battle, that is the Battle of Srirangapattam. And what was the reason for the battle? Because he stopped the export of pepper, sandal, etc. through the ports. Then he disallowed the merchants to trade with British, and also he keep a better relationship with the French. So it was the British was not happy with him, so they fought against the British. They feel that he was a very dangerous ruler, so they fought against him, and only in the last battle, that is a battle of Srirangapattam, he was defeated. Then the another war they fought is war with Marathas. That is called Anglo-Maratha war. Anglo-Maratha war. It was fought between whom? The British and the Marathas. How many Anglo-Maratha war were there? Three battles were fought between the Marathas and the British. And the first battle, it's ended with a treaty called the Treaty of Salbai. The first Anglo-Maratha war entered with the treaty called the Treaty of Salbai. In the first Anglo-Maratha war, no one have a clear victory. Not British, not Marathas won the battle. There is no one have a clear victory. But in the second battle, the British,
British gain areas like
they get the areas like Orissa,
Isa,
Agra,
Agra,
Delhi,
louder,
Delhi,
and some parts of Delhi they got. But in the third Maratha war, what happened? And who have the complete victory?
British.
British. The Maratha power crushed, and the British have the complete victory. British won the battle, and the Peshwa. Peshwa means their principal minister was sent to Bittur with a mere pension. Clear? Somebody asked this doubt. Anglo-Maratha war is clear. The Anglo-Maratha war is fought between the British and the Marathas, and three wars were fought between the and Marathas.
Marathas,
Marathas. And the first battle, no one have a clear victory, and it ended with a treaty called Treaty of Salbai. But in the second war, the British
British gained
they
areas
gained
like
a victory
Agra,
over some of the areas like Orissa, Bengal, Agra, etc. And Orissa, Agra, Delhi.
Delhi.
And after the third Maratha war, the British crushed the Maratha power, and the Peshwa was sent to Bittur with a mere pension. So the Maratha rule came to an end. Then one more battle is there, that is Battle of Panipat. That is fought between whom?
Marathas and Afghans.
Marathas and Afghans. Yes, the Battle of Panipat is different and the Anglo-Maratha war is different. Okay, Anglo-Maratha war is fought between the British and the Marathas. But the Battle of Panipat was fought between the Marathas and
Afghanistan.
okay, between Afghans and Maratha. After that, the Maratha empire was not there, and they divided into different. Their power came to an end, and they divided into different dynasties. But after that, they came into a alliance with the Peshwa, and they fought against the British. That is the Anglo-Maratha War. So don't be confused. Battle of Panipat means it's another battle. It's fought between the Marathas and Afghans. After Battle of Panipat, the Maratha king dynasty, it is divided into different dynasties. The Maratha empire is divided into different dynasties. But after the Anglo-Maratha war, the Maratha power was crushed. And the Peshwa, the post of Peshwa was not there. After that, he was sent to Bittur with a mere pension. So that is about the Anglo-Maratha war. So the three wars were fought between whom? Anglo means
Marathas and
British. Anglo means British. Here Anglo means British. British and Marathas. That is Anglo-Maratha war. Is it clear now? Morning
Yes,
somebody
ma'am.
asked me the doubt. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Nandan asked, right? I forgot it. Okay. Then the next two policies they adopted is, one is the policy of
Paramount.
paramountcy. What do you mean by
Paramountcy.
paramountcy?
Supreme power.
Yes.
Means
Supreme power, the policy of paramountcy. That is supreme power. So who was the supreme power here?
British.
British.
The company.
British supreme power over
India.
Indian rulers. So the company claimed their authority was supreme over the India. Their authority, they become the supreme power in India. And another, this policy was initiated by whom?
Lord Hastings.
Lord Hastings. Lord Hastings. Don't forget it, okay? So paramountcy, the policy of paramountcy means the supreme power. The supreme power is for whom? For the British over
For the
India.
British.
British is the supreme power in India, and this policy was initiated by Lord Hastings.
Hastings.
But some places it was Christian. But whose power is supreme here? British.
British.
even though it was questioned in some of the rulers. Then the another one is
Doctrine of lapse.
doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse. This policy was introduced by Lord
Dalhousie.
Dalhousie. This policy was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. And as per this policy, if a king
King die without a
die without a
male hire.
male hire, his kingdom, he
kingdom
would
will
lapse
lapse.
his kingdom and it become a part of
Company.
company's territory and it become a part of company territory. That is doctrine of lapse. The doctrine of lapse was introduced by
Lord
Lord
Dalhousie.
Dalhousie. And what do you mean by doctrine of lapse? If an Indian ruler died without a male hire, yes, his kingdom would lapse and it become a part of company territory. So by using these two policies, they annexed so many Indian states. And the map in the textbook, it clearly explained in page number 20, after by around 1857, almost all part of the Indian territories are under the British control. So now they have a vast control over India and they set up a new administration, and the Governor General who played an important role in the expansion of company's power is
Warren
Warren
Hastings.
Hastings. Another speciality for him, what is it? The first
The first
Governor General Warren Hastings. So that is, he played an important role in expanding the company's rule over India. And for administrative purposes, what they did? The British territories were broadly divided into administrative units called presidencies. So the presidencies are the administrative units. They divided the areas into different administrative units and called as presidency. And three presidencies are there. Which are they?
Bengal, Madras,
Madras and Bombay. So the three major presidencies are
Bengal, Bombay, Madras.
Bengal, Madras and Bombay. These are the three presidencies under the British, and each of the presidencies under a governor. Each of these presidencies are under a governor, and there is a head for them, and it is called as Supreme Head is called as
Governor.
General.
Governor General. The Supreme Head is called Governor General. Okay. So for administrative, coming to their administration, the Warren Hastings play a major role, who played a significant role in the expansion of company's power in India. And for administrative purpose, they divided the territories into different administrative units, and it is called as presidencies. And the three important presidencies are Bengal, Madras and Bombay, and each of these presidencies are under a governor, and there is a supreme head, that is the Governor General. That is about their administration. Clear? For the administration purpose, they divided first it into different presidencies. Then coming to their court. Which are the courts? A new system of court they established. And each district have how many courts?
Criminal court and civil courts.
Two courts were there. One is a criminal court and the other is a civil court. And the criminal court is called as
Faujdari
Faujdari Adalat. Faujdari Adalat. And the civil court is called as Diwani Adalat. Diwani Adalat. This criminal court include a quasi and a mufti. A quasi and Mufti. And in the civil code,
Maulavis and
Maulavis and Pandits.
Pandits.
Include Maulavis and Pandits. They will interpret
Laws.
Maulavis and Pandits.
Laws to the
They will
district
interpret
collector.
the laws to the European officials. Okay, that is their code structure. So the structure of code, it includes two types of code. One is a criminal code and the other is civil code. The criminal code is called as Faujdari Adalat and the civil code is called as Diwani Adalat. And in the Faujdari Adalat, it consists of a Qasi and a Mufti, but they are under the supervision of the collectors. Even though they are under the supervision of collectors. In the civil code, it is called as Diwani Adalat, and it is there the laws are interpreted by the Maulavis and Hindu Pandits for the European judges. Or the But there is a problem for this law because the Hindus interpret the law as per their own Dharma Shastra. So the British, they need a common law to rule, and they called 11 Pandits for what? And to ask them to compile a digest law for Hindus. Same way they call the Muslims or the Maulavis also to compile a code of Muslim law, and a code of Hindu law was compiled for the European judges. And also, as per the Regulating Act of 1773, a new Supreme Court was established. A new Supreme Court was established in Calcutta. And the most important figure or the most important principal post or a principal figure in their administration is collector. Collector, what he will do? Collect the revenue. Yes, as its name suggests, he will collect what? He will collect the revenue and taxes and also maintain the law and order. So that is their administration. In the administration, remember the presidencies, the court, and the role of collector. Then one more topic is there, that is about the company's army. The last is their army. So before the arrival of British, the Mughal army include
Archery and sword.
Infantry and
Cavalry.
cavalry. Okay. Archery and sword is there, but it is mainly divided into infantry and cavalry. Along with them, they also have the soldiers who have get training in archery and how to use the swords. But after the Mughal Empire declined, some of the provinces, what they did is they recruited the peasants in the army and they began to give training for the peasants. After this Mughal, they gave importance to infantry and cavalry, but after that, the Mughal Empire declined and many of the places emerged as their own independent territories and they began to give training for the peasants. Peasants means farmers, yes. So they began to give training for them, and after that, when the British came also, they also followed the same method. They also began to give training to the peasants and recruiting them for their army, and they called them as what? The Indian soldiers? Sipais. Sipahi. The British called the Indian soldiers as Sipahi or Shipai. Shipai means soldier. They called Indian soldiers as Sipahi. But for them, which army is more? Cavalry or infantry? They recruited the soldiers to either cavalry or infantry.
Infantry.
Infantry. Why? Because they want to they are fighting with the other places like Burma, Afghan, Egypt, etc. Okay, so the soldiers, they want to move from one place to another for the warfare or for the war purpose. But if it is a cavalry, it is difficult for them. A horse, they also want to carry them the food, it is too difficult for them. So they maintained an army which give more importance to infantry. And initially they followed the Indian method, and finally they gave training to them in the European style. European style training were given to them. And also it created a lot of problem there, because the British are not ready to consider the caste sentiments. They are not ready to concern about the caste system, but it was highly prevailed in Indian society at that time. And finally it leads to a mutiny. The British called it as a mutiny, and the Indians called it as the first war of Indian independence. Clear, children?
Ma'am.
Any portion, if you want to explain it more, or any doubt in any of the topic in this chapter? Anyone? If so, you can use the chat box and you can inform me. So that's understood. How the term, what was the name of the chapter?
Trade.
Trade to territory. After studying this chapter, you got the idea why that title for the chapter? From trade. The British came India for
Trade.
trade. But at last, what happened?
They started to
They
interfere in our
began to rule our
political
territories. The name itself says from trade to territory. So all these concepts are there in the chapter. How, for what purpose they came to India, what happened, how they began to, how they captured the power, and finally how they administrated the country. Okay, if you are studying it,
Ma'am, I have a doubt. I have sent it.
Hussein, what is a sphere of justice? Sphere of justice means? Sphere of justice, where you saw, dear?
Ma'am,
Field of justice, that means. That means related to court and all, okay? I thought it's a separate question, that's why I asked.
okay, ma'am.
Okay, that is it. So hope it's clear to you. Read the textbook proper. Once again, read the textbook proper. And yesterday I sent some question answers. Go through that. If any doubt is there, you can contact me. Okay. So the next class.